Again, welcome to geography class. In this class we are going to see about the next topic of the chapter number 4, agriculture. So I request you all, please prepare your notes according to that only. Let's move further. So chapter number 4, agriculture, and today we are going to discuss about the topic number 7, that is the coffee. Before moving ahead, I want to request you all that all the cadets, those who are preparing the notes, please make the flowchart also, because the flowchart will be very easy when you are recapitulating at the time of examination. Dear cadets, now we are going to have a recapitulation whatever we have studied up to here in the chapter number 4, agriculture. Most of the cadets they had requested, and on the demand of that I am again recapitulating. It's going to be very difficult for me to recapitulate all the points which we had discussed in the up to 6th point. That means 6th video already I had posted on the YouTube for you. Now this is the 7th one, in which we are going to have a discussion on coffee, but for your request and demand I am placing the revision topic up to the topic number 1 to 6 in this. So here in the first one, as we started our chapter, we had discussed about what is the meaning of agriculture, what are the different types of farming, cropping pattern, major crops, food crops other than grains. Now we are talking about. So all these topics and their video is there. Next point is about that. Quickly I am going to summarize all the topics in a gestate form, so it's going to be very easy for you to understand it. Point number 1, in the types of farming, we had seen about primitive subsistence farming. So, this type of farming is practiced in a few pockets of India, that means in a few areas of India, where on the small patches of the land, and by using the primitive tools. And the labor is the family and the community member, they are doing the labor work for that farming. They are clearing a patch of a land and then they are producing the different cereals and the other food crops to sustain their livelihood. So this particular slide is talking about the primitive subsistence farming. Next, in the primitive subsistence farming, as we are seeing here, the farming is practiced in the few areas of India. That means nowadays the different types of farmings are also practiced in India. So what are they? Just quickly we are going to see. When we are talking about primitive subsistence farming, I discussed about the slash and burn agriculture or shift cultivation, right? Or in another name, zooming. So dear cadet, please go through that presentation also, and please prepare the notes according to that only. Next, intensive subsistence farming. So in this type of farming, so area with a high population, and there is going to be huge pressure on the land. So population pressure on the land in that particular area, this type of farming is done. In that, the labor intensive farming is more use of labor is there. So to have a high yielding, they are going to have a different inputs in agriculture, just the irrigation facility and the biochemicals and so on. The size of the land holding is small and uneconomically, as we had seen in the number of points in our previous year also, the land distribution pattern in the story of village Palampur. How the land is divided into 1, then into 2, then into 4, like that, generation by generation it's divided. Moving further to see the next point. In that, multiple cropping practices also there, please make a note of it. Next, commercial farming. As we are discussing about the types of farming, in that we have seen about primitive, then subsistence, right? Now we are on commercial farming. So what is commercial farming? As the word is speaking commercial, for the commercial purpose this type of farming is done. In this type of farming, a high doses of the modern inputs like that the high yielding varieties of seeds, which means the HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides are used in order to obtain higher productivity, and the degree of commercialization vary from the area to area and according to the region. For example, rice is a commercial crop on Punjab and Haryana, but in Orissa it is a subsistence crop. That means in Punjab and Haryana people are growing the rice only for the commercial purpose. They are not eating, they are not consuming. For their sustainable purpose they are not producing the rice. But in Orissa is a subsistence crop. For their livelihood, for their sustained purpose, they are growing rice and they are using and consuming it. But in Punjab and Haryana, they are growing only for the commercial purpose. They are going harvesting product and the final agriculture product they are selling into market. Next, plantation. So plantation, it's a type of again commercial farming. So there is no confusion what is the difference between commercial farming and plantation and so on. So plantation is also a type of a commercial farming also. In this type of farming, a single crop is grown in a large area. The plantation has an interface of agriculture and industry. The plantation use capital intensive inputs. With the help of migrant laborers, all the produce is used as a raw material in the respective industry. Just we are having the examples of tea, coffee, banana, rubber, so on. So here in this slide you are observing about that the tea plantation in Assam, right, and North Bengal, coffee plantation in Karnataka, banana plantation in the southern part of India, rubber plantation in Kerala, bamboo plantation in the northeast India, and etc. So dear cadets, please make a note of it, and after that please prepare notes, because now already you are knowing about that the monthly test is going to be there. Please study very seriously and properly. Next, in the cropping pattern, as we are moving into the flow chart of the agriculture chapter, now we are on the topic of cropping pattern. In that we are discussed about the three cropping pattern. They are the Rabi, Kharif and Zet. In the detail point I am not going to into detail, because already I had explained to you in a detailed one in the previous presentations. So now we are only going to see in a gisted form this Rabi, Kharif and Zet. Right? Next. First, classification of crops, as we are seeing on the basis of the season in which they are grown. So Kharif, monsoon crops, Zet, summer crops, and Rabi, winter crops. So as we are seeing here, and the photograph is self-explanatory to you, it's talking about planted in June Kharif crops, harvested in October, and name of the crops are also there, just like rice, maize, groundnut, cotton, etc. Then Zet crops in that planted in March and harvested in June, just like we are having the watermelon, cucumber, etc. Rabi planted in November, harvested in April, just like the example are wheat, barley, peas and gram. Next, moving towards in detail information of what are Kharif crops, right? Kharif, they are generally planted in June and harvested in October. Rice, maize, cotton, groundnuts are the examples of Kharif crops. So you are seeing in this particular slide about the Kharif crops and when they are grown, when they are harvested and so on. Moving further, Rabi crops. So as you have observed about Kharif, this is the Rabi crops. They are generally planted in the November and harvested in April. Wheat, barley, peas and grams are the examples of Rabi crops. Next, rice. So rice is a staple food crop of the majority of the people in India. India is the second largest producer in the world after China. So as I explained you in the previous videos also, The rice is a very important and the major crop in India. It's a Kharif crop and which require the high temperature about 25 degrees Celsius and a high humidity with the annual rainfall above 100 centimeters. And the area where the high rainfall is not there, they are using the other irrigation facilities, just canal, tube well, and so on. So this was the topic related to rice. From this slide also you can copy down the point and you can make a note of this. This presentation only I am making so those students, those who have missed out some video and like that, so they can have a generalization of the chapter number agriculture. Next, wheat. In the wheat, that's the second most important cereal crop and the main food crop in the north and the northwestern part of our country, which require a cool growing season and a bright sunshine to ripen, and require 50 to 75 centimeter of annual rainfall, evenly distributed over the growing season. The important wheat growing zone, that means the Ganga Satluj plains, the black soil region in Deccan. Then the major wheat producing states are Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and parts of Madhya Pradesh. So here this slide is talking about the wheat crop, the temperature, the rainfall, the area and the state which are the leading producer of wheat. You can see in the photograph, most of the cadets, they are from the farming background. They are already knowing about the wheat, how to grow it and what are the different types of wheats are there and so on. Next, moving further, millets. So in the millets crop, as it is self-explanatory, the photograph is talking about ragi, jowar and bajra. By seeing the photograph, you can clearly understand what the name of this particular millets in Kannada and as well as how they are grown in your area. So the millets crops, we are going to have a generalization quickly. Jawar, bajra, ragi are the important millets grown in India. So these crops are also known as the coarse grain because they are having a very high nutrition value. Ragi, that is rich in iron and calcium and other micronutrients and roughage. It is the crop of a dry region and grow well on red, black, sandy, loamy and shallow soils. Karnataka is the largest producer, followed by Tamil Nadu. Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Jharkhand, Arunachal Pradesh are also important ragi producing states. Next, moving further to C, jawar. That's the third most important food crop with the respect of area and production. As we had discussed about rice, wheat, then this is the jawar. So it is the crop which are growing in a moist area. The area it is mentioned here, that means the Maharashtra is the leading producer of the jawar, followed by Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and MP. So bajra also grow well on the sandy soils and the shallow black soil. Rajasthan is the largest producer, followed by Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Haryana. So dear cadet, please prepare your notes which are very important. You can copy it down from these slides also. If you are having the textbook, from the textbook also you can prepare the notes. Next, maize. So maize used as the food and fodder both. That means for the human being and for the consumption of consuming the animals. As you are observing in the photograph, this is the maize crop, right? See here. So this is the Kharif crop which require the temperature between 21 degree Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius and grows well in the alluvial soil. In state like Bihar, it is grown as a Rabi crops. Only the state is Bihar is there in that it is grown in Rabi season. And the use of modern input like the high yielding varieties of seeds, fertilizers and irrigation have contributed to the increasing production of the maize. The major maize producing states are Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. So the state is mentioned, the area is known to you, and how the MCQ is going to be coming from this particular point, from this content already I stated in the previous presentation. Please go there and please observe the video. Next, pulses. So India is the largest producer as well as the consumer of pulses in the world. So India is only the one of the country is the largest producer of the pulses and the consumer of pulses in the world. So these are the major source of protein in a vegetarian diet. So different types of dals, the examples are placed here. Please observe them. They are the tur, which is also called as arar, urad, moong, masoor, peas, gram. Pulses need less moisture and survive even in a dry condition. All these crops except the arar help in restoring the soil fertility by fixing nitrogen from the air, because of which it is grown in a rotation and other crops. Moving further, to see the point which are very important here, the areas in which the crops are grown, the Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Let's move further to see the upcoming point, sugarcane. So sugarcane, as we are talking here about, it is a tropical as well as the subtropical crop. It's grow well in a hot and a humid climate. The temperature 21 to 27 degrees Celsius and the rainfall between the 75 centimeter to 100. Next, India is the second largest producer after Brazil and the main source of the sugarcane, because the sugarcane, jaggery, khandsri and other things are prepared by sugarcane only. Next, the areas are mentioned here. Okay. Next, tea. This topic already I had explained to you in a detailed way. Example of plantation crop, where the single crop is grown in a large area. It's an important beverage crop introduced in India by the Britisher. Not to forget about the important points from this presentation. Please make a note of all these points. Next, after the tea, we are going to discuss about the food crops other than the grain, that means the oil seed. So India is the largest producer of the oil seed in India, as well as they include the groundnut, mustard, coconut, till, soya bean, custard seed and so on. So all these topic are generalized to you. Next, the final topic today's, that means the Indian coffee, which is also known in the world for its good quality. The Arabica variety initially brought from Yemen is produced in the country. This variety is in a great demand all over the world. Initially it's cultivated, that means their cultivation was started on the Baba Budan Hills, and even today its cultivation is confined to Nilgiri in Karnataka and Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So here we had discussed about the following points which were very important from the chapter number 4 agriculture, and we had generalized the topic. I request you all, please go through the presentation once again, and whatever the point I had explained on your demand once again to you, Please see it clearly and prepare the notes according to you. Thanking to each and everyone for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe it and press the bell icon so you can get all the notifications. Thanking to each and everyone for watching the video. Jai Hind to one and all.